Hey, Cumberland kiddos and caregivers. It's Mrs. Smith, the Advanced Academics Resource Teacher at Cumberland. I'm here to share with you another enrichment time. I'm, of course, using the digital resources that were created for you by the Advanced Academic Resource Teachers in Nashville. And if for some reason you don't have access to that link or you've lost it or want another copy, please email me nsmith2 at mnps.org and I'll be happy to send that out to you. There are so many wonderful, fun enrichment activities you can even keep using this summer, so your kids continue to learn and grow academically. It's there for grades K through 8, and then there's math in there, there's science in there, tons and tons of really cool things. Today, I'm going to wrap up the resource that I created, which is called Poem a Day. I've been sharing one of these poems with you guys, or some of these poems with you guys each time I've done an enrichment video, but today I want to share a few because I wanted to try to get all of those in before the school year ended, and it's almost over. I can't believe it, and I still really miss you guys, and I hope you guys are learning and still working and reading and learning something new every day. Okay, so I'm going to start out today by reading, it's on day 5 for Poem a Day, and it's called the autobiographical poem. So biography, of course, is a book or an article written about someone because maybe they've done something wonderful or they're a famous person. So that's a biography. An autobiography is where you write about yourself. So this is an autobiographical poem, and it gives your children a chance to sort of express themselves and share things about themselves. So I think one of the funnest things to do is to start off with a poem, and you share a poem, and that sort of gives you a way to sort of begin talking about the autobiographical poem. So we're going to share another poem by Shel Silverstein because all of the poems that I've created on my resource come from him. That's a picture of Shel. I have all of his poem anthologies, and the poem I'm sharing with you today comes from Everything on It, and it is called Underface. And as you can tell, we've talked about his illustrations. Most of his poems have these wonderful illustrations. He purposely did not put any illustrations in this poem, and that's for a reason. He wanted this poem to be, for you to have to really think about what the words are saying. So it says, Underface. Underneath my outside face, there's a face that none can see. A little less smiley, a little less sure, but a whole lot more like me. So let's talk about the poem that I just read, Underface by Shel Silverstein. I think that all of us can relate to that poem, whether we're children or teenagers or adults, because sometimes you have to put on a face that really doesn't express how you feel inside. We all have bad days, and we have to go to work or go to school, and we have to put on a face that maybe doesn't really express how we truly feel. So, and sometimes kids don't really get a chance to express how they really feel because they're at school and they go from one class to another. And it's important for children sometimes to look within themselves and think about their feelings and think about what they want to do with their lives and all those kinds of things. So that's where the autobiographical poem comes in. So I've created, here are some directions that you can find for the resource. And it talks about reading the Underface poem first, of course. And then the next step is to create, to fill out the template. I apologize for my dog barking. Duke, hush, come here. So this is what the template looks like, and you don't have to print the template out. If you have a printer, it might be handy, but if you don't have a printer, that's okay. You can just tell your child what to write on each line. All right, so if you have the template though, or without it, the first thing you want to do is your child's first name. So you just put their first name at the top, and then line 2 says, traits which describe you. And these are adjectives, okay? So these are descriptive words that describe, that your child feels like describes themselves, okay? And I don't like to give a lot of clues here. I may list some adjectives usually or give some ideas, but I like the kids to sort of come up with their own. And you'll really be surprised what kids come up with when they fill this out. Don't give them a lot of guidance. Just give them, you know, help them a little bit, prop them up, but let them kind of take this where they want to take it. I usually do these when I was a classroom teacher. I did one of these every year with my kids from kindergarten, with assistants, of course, all the way up through 5th grade, and they just love it. They love it. They love expressing themselves. So line 3, they write daughter of, or, and then they can put their parents' names. Or they can put son of or sibling of. Okay, and that way they list their siblings. However, whatever they feel like most describes them. Or do they want to say that they're the daughter of someone or that they're the sibling of? Maybe they're really close with their siblings. Line 4 is lover of blank. And I've had children put things like lover of trees, or they'd say lover of animals, or they could say lover of money, So you never know what your kids want to put there, but it's always funny to see what they can come up with, and just kind of leave that open and let them decide what they really love and are passionate about. The next one says who feels, and then let them write what they feel, and they can put who feels afraid or who feels happy. And sometimes it gives you sort of a window into your child's true self when you let them kind of come up with their own things. And that's tricky for some kids, but give them enough time and they will come up with how they really feel. Who needs, and what you have your child think about. What do I need? What do I need in this world or today or whatever? However your child perceives that, let them complete it on their own. Who fears? All right. Who gives? So what do you give to the world? What do you give to other people? Right? So what can you do to help? Right? So who gives blank? Who would like to see, and sometimes they'll say a famous person, or they'll say, something really profound. So let your child do that on their own. And then they write resident of, and some kids like to put Nashville, some kids like to put, the name of their community, the name of their apartment complex or subdivision. And then the last line, or some kids have actually put resident of the world, or of the United States, whatever they want to put. And then their last name is at the very end. All right, and when your child is done filling out the template, and they may have to erase here and there, and you can sort of assist with the spelling. Then what you do is you take a blank sheet of paper. This is blank, although I know you can see through it. But you take a blank sheet of paper and you have them put all of this in the center of the paper as best they can. And then what I like to do is, especially if there's a holiday coming up, like Father's Day is coming up in June, or maybe you've got grandparents that your children haven't seen in a while, or a special aunt or uncle, and they can create this for someone that they haven't seen in a while they've been stuck at home. And then they can decorate around the outside using some of those things that they have described in the poem, or they can just do, whatever they like to draw, flowers or little animals or whatever. So, and kids really love making these. It sounds really simple and silly, but I promise you they really, really love making these. I've never had a group of students who didn't just say, wow, and they come out so nice. So that would be one really fun thing you can do. Now we're going to talk about how Shel Silverstein likes to play with words in his poems, and one of the things that he likes to use is homophones. And a homophone is a word that has two words that have different spellings, but they sound the same, and they have different meanings as well. So different spellings, different meanings, but they sound the same when you say them. For example, flour, that you bake with, F-L-O-U-R, and a flower that you smell, F-L-O-W-E-R. All right, so I'm going to share a couple of poems, and this is in the digital resource link as well, and I'm going to share these with you, and we're going to talk about why they're funny. All right, so the first one is called Anteater. All right, okay, so here it is. Let me get my glasses on. Anteater. A genuine anteater, the pet man told my dad. Turned out it was an aunt-eater, and now my uncle's mad. All right, so apparently there was an aunt standing there, like your aunt, and then this anteater is not an actual anteater eating ants, A-N-T, it ate the aunt, which some people say aunt, A-U-N-T, or aunt. All right, so that's pretty funny. All right, and another one that uses homophones and that was from A Light in the Attic. And another one that uses homophones, another one of Shel Silverstein's poems, is called Little Horse. So most of the time when you hear the word horse, you think of the animal, a horse. But it can also mean something else. And look at the spelling, H-O-A-R-S-E. So it says, my voice was raspy, rough and cracked. I said, I am a little horse. They stuck a saddle on my back and jumped on me. And now, of course, they trot me and they gallop me, they prance me up and down the town, yelling, "Giddy up, little horse!" Some things don't mean the way they sound. So he was hoarse because he said his voice was raspy, rough, and cracked. But they thought he was a little horse, and they said, "Yay!" And they put a saddle on him and rode him all over town. So horse and horse are two homophones as well. So one activity that you can do after you share those poems is you can have your child think of as many homophones as they can think of, and then see if they can come up with a silly poem using them. Like I said, flower and flower, that would be one idea. But that your child can think of a lot more. All right, so that's a fun activity. And then there is another poem that I wanted to share with you called Band-Aids. Of course, what child doesn't love Band-Aids, right? Even if they don't have boo-boos, they like to stick Band-Aids all over themselves. So this poem is called Band-Aids, like I said, and it's from a book that I don't have here. I have at my school. It's from Where the Sidewalk Ends. But it's on the digital resource. You can print it out or you can just pull it up and read it to your child. And I'm going to read it now, and then we're going to talk about some activities that you can do with this poem. So Band-Aids by Shel Silverstein. I have a Band-Aid on my finger, one on my knee and one on my nose, one on my heel and 2 on my shoulder, 3 on my elbow and 9 on my toes, 2 on my wrist and 1 on my ankle, 1 on my chin and 1 on my thigh, 4 on my belly, 5 on my bottom, 1 on my forehead and 1 on my eye, 1 on my neck, and in case I might need 'em, I have a box of 35 more. But oh, I do think it's sort of a pity I don't have a cut or a sore. All right, so we all know that at times children, if they even just get a little boo-boo, they want a Band-Aid, right? And they make such neat Band-Aids now where the kids can pick out, Mickey Mouse or colored Band-Aids or whatever. So some activities that you can do with this poem, Band-Aids, that I just shared with you. These are also in the digital resource. So you read the poem and you have your children listen. You can have younger children, pre-K and kindergarten kids, touch the places like, where's your heel? Where's your shoulder, right? And make sure they know all those body parts. So that would be fun with little kids. You can ask your children to add up the total of Band-Aids as you read the poem. A second time, you can say, well, see how many Band-Aids they have there. You can also teach tally marks. So tally marks is something that you learn, usually I think about in 2nd grade. So if you have a 1st grader or a kindergartner even, or even 2nd grade, and even older kids like to practice with tallies, have them use tally marks to count as you read. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go this way to make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can circle groups of 10. So you can do tally marks and teach that skill, because that's a skill when they learn graphing that they're going to have to learn how to use anyway. So, so that's introducing your child to a new math skill, right? And then you could also turn this into a writing activity where you can ask your child to write about a time that they got hurt. Maybe they fell off their bike, or just the other day I was talking to my little neighbor Birdie, and she starts chasing her dog Ruby, and next thing you know, she's on the ground and she got a little boo-boo. She actually needed a Band-Aid. But children can tell about a time that they were actually hurt themselves and maybe needed a Band-Aid. How many Band-Aids did they need? Where did they put them? Right? And so they can write about their experience. They can draw a picture of this child. So you read the poem and you have your child look at all the different Band-Aids. Draw a picture of this child with all of its front and back, right? The front side of the child and the back side of the child, and then count how many Band-Aids and draw all the little Band-Aids on there. And that's a way to just illustrate the poem. So that's a fun little poem to read to your children and to have them do activities with. And the last one that I'm going to share with you today is called The Monkey by Shel Silverstein. And that one I actually have. It's in a book called Falling Up. All right. And I'm going to read it to you. Okay, it's this one right here. All right, The Monkey. Hopefully you can see the pictures okay. One little monkey, and you notice it's not spelled out with words. They're using numbers in here in addition to the words. So one little monkey was going to the store when he saw a banana 3 he'd never climbed before. By 5 o'clock that evening, he was sick with a stomach ache, 'cause 7 green bananas was what that monkey ate. Let's see, it's the number 8. By 9 o'clock that evening, that monkey was quite ill. So 10 we called the doctor, who was 11 on the hill. The doctor said, "You're almost dead. Don't eat green bananas no more." The sick little monkey groaned and said, "But that's what I 1, 2, the 3, 4." So it's kind of funny. So if you read it again, you can actually say, like instead of 3, you can make it tree. But see that those numbers are very similar to other words. And I'm going to read it one more time, and I'm going to use the other words so you can understand it a little bit better. So one little monkey was going to the store when he saw a banana tree he'd never climbed before. By 5 o'clock that evening, he was sick with a stomach ache, because 7 green bananas was what that monkey ate. By 9 o'clock that evening, that monkey was quite ill. So then we called the doctor, who was a living on the hill. The doctor said, "You're almost dead. Don't eat green bananas no more." The sick little monkey groaned and said, "But that's what I 1, 2, the tree for." So that's just funny. So you can read it with it's like the number words sound very similar to other words, and the kids get a kick out of that. So cute poem, and some of the activities that you can do with that is you can talk about how, and this is the activity sheet that's also in the link that I sent. So you can discuss how the word sounds, discuss the numbers and then the words that are similar to them that they represent. Younger children who can't read yet, when you go through the poem, if you use your finger, they can call out the numbers and as you get to them. And you can talk about why those particular numbers are good substitutions for the words that they're representing there. And then you can actually challenge older children or younger children with your assistance to come up with a poem or a little short riddle or even a little short story where they use numbers for some of the words. And even bigger numbers, you could use like, 30, and it could stand for, I don't know, thirsty or something. So kids can get really creative and come up with their own little stories or poems. So that is all of the Poem a Day resources, and that's what I created. So I wanted to make sure I shared all of that with you. And I hope you guys have been learning something every day, reading something every day, writing a little bit every day, and enjoying being home with your families. And hopefully we'll see you again soon, and we'll be out and about soon, and people can start getting together soon. I can't wait to see you guys this fall. It's going to be a wonderful school year. All right.